Press Start Podcast.
And welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. I'm your host Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin'. This is episode number 122, and this week I do welcome back my co-host Roger, aka Lunatic Oblivion.
Man, you're lucky I'm here. Palworld. It's a game, man. It's the game right now. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to dive into it because it's one of our main topics yet again this week to dive into. But it's actually on both of our lists this week for games that we played. But real quick, No Scott this week. Shout out to him. He's getting married. I believe it's next month if I'm not mistaken. And it's his bachelor party weekend. So shout out to him. I hope he's having a great time tonight. And hopefully we'll see him in 2 weeks because there's no episode next week due to the Super Bowl. But without further ado, let's dive right into what we've been playing. We actually had the same amount of games on this list for once, and we both got a solid 4 here. And let's just talk about Palworld, right? You were just playing before the stream. You and Jordan are diving into it. Like, how's your experience been? Are you really enjoying it? It seems like you're level 30 and you can't put the game down, it seems.
Yeah, honestly, Palworld is just it. Yeah, it's another sandbox game. Don't get me wrong. It's got its problems. It's like the biggest issue has to be the base building, has to be the resource gathering. Like, there's just a lot to be desired there. But
Yeah.
the gameplay itself, the gameplay loop, like I want to just keep playing and exploring. Like the map is huge. Like the fact that the map is so well flushed out already and so large and it has a ton of things to do, it honestly feels like a really well put together game so far. And already 2 weeks into its release, we see patch 0.1.4, which addresses a huge array of issues and bugs. And honestly, this is super early access, and the game, honestly, it feels like we're watching a gem get polished in real time.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't say it better. And it's awesome because obviously me and you have been following a lot of the whole survival game genre for a while. Like when we were playing Valheim, and that game was like pieced together like one piece at a time, and it was like there was a lot of issues with that. It felt really small when it first came out. We're like Palworld, like this game feels like a fleshed out, like full-fledged game. And yes, that gameplay loop is insane, dude. Like when you're looking at when you're at the Poke Box or the Pal Box or whatever, and you can level up your base, and you're like, oh, I gotta get to level 30 and I can unlock this. And you're looking at all the different things that you can build. You're like, man, I want to get to that. And like the progression to get to there, you have to either build, scavenge, battle, capture. Like there's so many different things, and you're out there in the wild. You're like, now you're discovering, now you're exploring. You're like, oh, what is this? And you find like the random caves in the wall, or like the different pals that you've never seen. You're like, oh, I need to capture 10 of them because you get a bonus XP. So now you're trying to fucking capture 10 of those, and if you only know like that's where they spawn at, you're like, all right, let me fast travel back, sleep, come back, capture some more if you already ran out, or if you need more pal spheres. And it's just like endless, dude. And it's like you go from capturing to, oh, let me take on the boss battles, or even like the smaller ones, you know, that are just out in the wild. Like it's just the pals, like the much higher level ones. Like I captured the Mamorest the other day, like level 38 or whatever he is. Kind of cheesed it. Like you just sit on the other side of the water and just keep shooting fucking flame arrows until he's down, and you throw a ball at it and catch it. Like it was real cheesy, but I did it. It was funny on that. But yeah, overall, I was like, man, like, should I play this game? Because I know it's going to take up a lot of my time, and I haven't been streaming it. This is actually like one of the first games I have not streamed, and it probably would be a great game to stream. But it's just like, I feel like it's awesome because I can pick this game up and literally play for like 5-10 minutes to complete a couple of tasks, or I can spend 3-4 hours doing all kind of crazy shit. So definitely enjoying this.
No,
game so far.
100%. This game honestly feels like gives me the feeling of Valheim once again, like jumping back into Valheim for the first time. I cannot wait for Valheim to release the Ashlands update this summer, or this year. Hopefully we see it this summer because they're getting very close. They're releasing stuff all the time. But honestly, I've been regretting like not having a good survival game to play.
Yeah,
Even though, let's
Ashlands
be
has
honest here.
confirmed release window for first half of 2024. So now until June.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like we're looking at a window, not a date, which is nice to see at least. But I agree. Palworld is such a nice game. I'm totally into it. It's sucking up a ton of my time, and it just I enjoy it so much.
Yeah, and I agree here with chat. Inhumans like talking about playing Nexamon. I've never played Nexamon, but I know Nexamon 3 is supposed to be coming out, which is another Pokemon like competitor, but with Palworld out now, and like Pokemon like not in a good place when it comes to their games,
Hmm.
because the last couple of releases have been pretty shitty, like quality wise, and like the bugs and issues that it's having, and then, like they're still taking forever to fix them, because like I know like the most recent games, Scarlet and Violet, are still struggling to get the patch updates that it requires. So it's like, what is going on? And like maybe this is the kick in the ass that Pokemon needs to get their shit
Hmm.
together. Because I mean, we used to live and die by Pokemon. Like we've played almost every single one since day one. Because I mean, Pokemon's as old as us, and that's not helping us out here with age. But yeah, Power World, a lot of fun. But let's talk about some other game that you've been playing. Looks like you picked up Persona 5 Tactica. With Persona 3 Reloaded just coming out today or yesterday. It just came out the other day. What made you pick up Tactica? Or is this going to be like your first one into the series? Are you going to play Reloaded? What's going on
No,
here?
I beat Persona 5. I played Persona 4. I played a little bit of Persona 3. I played Persona Q. Um it I was just like I'm a big fan of Tactica style games, so I like Final Fantasy Tactics. I like triangle strategy. Like this is my genre.
Sea of Stars,
And
kind of, right?
yeah,
Similar because
like
it's turn
Mario
based.
versus Rabbids, the Kingdom, Mario versus Rabbids 1, that game. Like I
Mm-hmm.
picked up a bunch of different strategy games, and this was one that was on my radar from day one announcement. I just I sort of sat here and I was like, I want to play it, but it's gonna take a lot of hours. It's
Yeah,
Persona 5 took me like 40 hours to beat, 40 or 50 hours, and that's a pretty big time investment, and that was mostly spent straight story time.
yeah. And looking at how long to beat.com, Tactica is going to take you about 24 to 30 hours to beat. So you got a lot of
Yeah.
time on your hands. Like these games are no joke. Like it's actually some of the reason why I've actually never played a Persona game is because of how big they are. Like just looking at
Hmm.
like Persona 5, 97 to 113 hours is bonkers. Like Persona 4 is 68 to 84, and Persona 3 is it
Yeah.
says
Maybe it did
48ish.
take me that long.
So it's
God, I
like
I didn't want to like over exaggerate and be like it took me 100 hours, but maybe it fucking did. I don't even know now. Like sitting here, I'm like, wait, maybe I did spend 100 hours
you could.
playing that game,
Yeah.
and it was good. Like honestly, Persona games and Atlas in general. Atlas has always been one of those companies that I've really enjoyed their games. So I was like, I was, I was ready for it.
Yeah, for sure. Um I don't know when I'll be ready to play a game that requires that much time, because like I have to get through so many games just for content wise for Shoot to Win. It's tough to play the games that take a superior amount of time. Like even Liza P, like when it was our game club in a month, like that took a lot of time to play and beat, like 30 hours ish, I think it was. That was a lot for me.
And you
Like the
actually have
Tactica.
to be good to get the 30 hours.
Yeah. Right. I mean, because I think I beat it in about 30 ish. I have to look
Yeah.
at my playthroughs. So like that's not bad for that type of game, and from my first entry into like a Souls like as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, even games like Assassin's Creed like can take a while. Like in Humans talking about like Valhalla, he put in tons of time in that game, and I know it took me about anywhere from like I think it took me like 70 or 80 hours to beat that one. So like those games can really take a toll. But I was playing those games before joining Shoot to Win. But let me talk about one of Ubisoft's most recent releases that is like kind of really going under the radar, not getting the attention it deserves, and it's Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This is the new entry into that long running series, and boy, this game is fun. It's a Metroidvania style game. So you unlock abilities that unlock different areas that you can get to, and the story progressive. And like I'm probably towards the end of the game. Like I think I have like 2 chapters left, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like the twist that happened in the middle of the game really
Hmm.
shakes up what you're trying to do in a game. And I was like, wow. But yeah, the combat is so fluid. Like going from combo to combo to parrying to dodging, being able to shoot your arrow, your ultimate abilities that you have. Um, it's really good, and the boss battles can be really challenging. But it's like, oh, I can do it. One more try, and it like never ends. You get into that one more try, and then you finally get it,
Hmm.
and it's just like an endless play that works out really well. And I'm looking forward to beating it. And I was just like, man, to be honest, I cannot remember if I've ever played a Prince of Persia game, because like a lot of those games came out like PS2 era, and we were kind of young, so we were playing all kind of shit during that time frame. But if this is gonna be my first entry into the series, I'm looking forward to the Sands of Time remake and whatever they have next in store for this franchise. Highly recommended as
Mhm.
well. Roger, believe it or not, I picked up a mobile game again. I was like really bored at
Snap.
work. Yeah, Marvel Snap ended up back on my phone, and there's so much more content in that game than what it was when it initially came out when I was playing it a lot. And I was like, man, there's so much to it. I was like, I can unlock this card. Oh, I can do this now. Like, I was like, this is going to be dangerous. Like, I could spend hours playing this game at any given moment. And just how fast the matches are is just what gets me is like you could play like a match in like a minute, 3 minutes, if that. And I was like, I forgot like how enjoyable this game was. Definitely fun time. Right, Roger, tell me about Yakuza 5. Is this how much did you invest in the time of this? Because with Palworld and Persona 5
Dude,
Tactica, like
Persona, like Yakuza 5, like Persona 5, is the largest installment in the series. It's not the newest, but it is the longest. And I'm still only on the second act of 5, and I'm like, I get them side quests, dude. Gotta do them fucking side quests all the time. And I'm like, please stop. Because
yeah,
if I stop doing the side quests, then I get my ass clapped in some fights. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. Because the last time I got deep into a Yakuza game, I started skipping content. And they were like, okay, final boss fight. You got to beat 5 bosses back to back to back to back with all 5 characters, one after another. And you're like, shit, well, one of them's going to do all right, but the other 4, they're fucked.
yeah. Yeah, it looks like on how long to beat Yakuza 5 takes 36 to 65 hours depending on how much of that side content that you participate in.
Yep. And I'm stuck in the loop, man. And the thing that kills me, that really kills me, like doesn't kill my character, just kills me mentally, is just walking down the street and every time I just run into a dude, kick his ass, and then it ends and another fight instantly starts. And I was like, "Look you at!" Like everyone ran away. Why are you here? And they're just like, "You time to die." And I'm like,
Yeah, you are
just
correct. I'm looking at
can
how
I get
long to beat with like how long these games take. Like out of the Yakuza games,
yep.
it's the longest one. But when you get into when they transition the title, like a dragon, like Yakuza like a dragon is 45 to 67, so it's just as long. And then Infinite Wealth gets even longer at 58 to
Yeah.
78 hours. But if you want a smaller scaled game, definitely check out The Man Who Erased His Name, which is 12 to 21.
Yeah, but like I heard only bad things about the man who erased his name because like even the developers they said some people were saying that like even they were like what are we trying to tell in this story? I'm not quite sure.
It's like a prologue to one of the characters, is what I was told.
But like
It like
the
started off
thing
as
is like
DLC, but it became a game. That whole
yeah,
thing.
it kind of it they don't know what story they're trying to tell though is the problem.
Mm.
They get lost in the sauce while trying to tell a story and they're like, "Well, let's."
Let's just try and weave it back together.
And they're like, "That's a story."
All right, man. Looks like we got MTGA for you and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 as our last games that we both played. Not really much to go on my end with Call of Duty. It's really just hop in, complete a couple daily challenges because that's the only way to unlock anything in the game, which is dumb to me. And it's just like,
Mhm.
all right, once I complete the 3 daily challenges you get, I'm like, yep, I'm done because like you could still win matches that count as your daily challenge. And I was like, I'm not investing that much time into it, but I just want to get that like quick dopamine hit from Call of Duty, that because you know the feeling that Call of Duty gives you. It's just, like it can be fun, intense.
Yeah, if you win a game, it's great. But if you lose a game, you're like, these
Yeah,
guys are literal dog ass eaters.
yeah, you're
Like,
like fuck
fuck
this,
these guys, dude.
fuck this game.
Fuck everyone here.
Yeah. But man, just real quick though, because obviously we don't really talk about the upcoming game releases, but you have a PS5, and PS5 actually has a pretty big week. This week when it comes to game releases, there's only like 3 games coming out this week. By the way, not sure if you saw the post I put up with the upcoming game releases, but you have Foam Stars coming out on the 6th,
Mhm.
Helldivers 2 on the 8th, and Resident Evil 4 the Gold Edition on the 9th. So the Gold Edition just includes that extra DLC or whatever bundled together. So that's not really like a new release. But Foam Stars and Helldivers are both PlayStation exclusive. Helldivers
Mhm.
is coming to PC though. That's the only one. But Foam Stars reminds me of Splatoon. So I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's just like a Splatoon knockoff." So I was like, "I know you liked Splatoon, so would you be Are you going to be interested in checking out Foam Stars at all?
Honestly, Splatoon's fun and all, but like it's mostly a party game.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Marshmallow. I just see the the message pop up out of the corner. My man's still just singing Yakuza to himself, even though we moved on. But no, Foam Stars, unless I had some friends to play with, honestly, I wouldn't be playing it myself. And then Helldivers 2, if I'm gonna get it, I would get it on PC. And honestly, I didn't play Helldivers 1, and I have real no interest in it.
Right. And it's so crazy because like PlayStation has such a lackluster year when it comes to releases, and these are two of their big releases that they kind of have coming out this year. And like to me, I'm seeing zero hype anywhere I look.
Hmm.
Zero hype. I mean, some people are covering
Yeah.
it like us right now, but it's like there's really no hype behind it. Even when they were
Hmm.
announced, like there was no hype behind it. And obviously, we're going to dive into the PlayStation State of Play later on in the show. And I was like really disappointed with that, but I'm gonna give more in depth thoughts on that because I watched it live. But yeah, man, that's all of the game that we've been playing and games that we could potentially be looking forward to playing. Doesn't look like we have any this week that we're excited to check out. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and move on to the industry news because it's more sad shit.
Hmm.
All right, man. So kicking it off here with this more layoffs. Like it's bad. Like you also dropped that article that kind of summarizes everything that's been going on. But two of the big ones that came out this week recently were Embracer Group. They canceled actually a Deus Ex game which we have not had in such a long time, and the game was in development for 2 years over at Eidos Montreal, which is one of the classic like go-to studios, and they're just like, cancel, gone, more layoffs. Most of that team is being like repurposed and retransitioned to apparently a new IP that is in the works over at Embracer Group. So hopefully it pays off. But it sucks to see that 2 years worth of work gone. Throw it in
Yeah.
the trash. I was like, man, like game development can be so
Dumpster,
brutal,
dude.
so brutal. But and then the other one, man, was a surprise because obviously we see the success over in Japan. Obviously they do pay raises and they're all about boosting, keeping everybody around. Is Sega, but the American branch, they're laying off 10% of their employees as opposed to the Japanese branch. They're like, we're to give everybody pay raises. So it's like, what's going
Yeah,
on here?
it's honestly it's American leadership. Like you can see the quality of stuff to come out of the East versus the West lately. You see these studios laying off a ton of people. You see all these, American companies just cutting corners or cutting staff as much as they can. And it's honestly not doing anything but ruining the industries that people are part of. Like it's a sad fact reality that it's like, well, if I'm going to lay off 10% of my staff, then that 10% workload is going to just be put on the 90% that got kept. And it's like, well, you're already looking at industries a lot of time that are just oversaturated with work,
Hmm.
and it's like, well, I'm just going to give you another 5 hours a week of work.
Yeah. So maybe that pay raise in the end is like, we're just paying you for the work that we're
The
eventually going to give
extra
you.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's it sucks to see, but it tends to only be the American branch or the American studios lately. Whereas yeah, Japan, every time we turn around, they're like, here, we're gonna pay our staff more because they deserve it. We got a good title launch. Oh, we had a bad title launch. Instead of shuttering our studio or docking pay or firing people, the CEO takes a pay cut. Like, you know, it's just American companies demand loyalty, but then we see people like, not give that loyalty back to their employees. So it's like, why even care about your company anymore?
Right. We actually have that conversation all the time at my job. It's like, why invest loyalty into something, especially like because our generation's starting to understand like why should I stay with one company my entire career?
Yep.
Because there's nothing to work towards that. Like they're taking like retirement and 401ks and social security, like everything that you're really kind of putting into it is slowly being drained away. So like you're
Hmm.
losing your incentive to work for a company for a longer period of time anyway, like pensions and stuff like that. So it's like moving on to new jobs. Who's going to pay me more? Or it's just like why invest into a company if they're just going to keep taking from you? Like I've been at Tailored Brands for 10 plus years, and I've watched them take so much stuff away from us. And then they're like,
Hmm.
well, why don't you work as hard? Why would I? You
Yeah,
took everything away from me.
yeah, like whoa, we used to get a day where the company would go to a park and we would literally go to a theme park or an amusement park. They would pay for everything for a day, and then they were like, not that anymore. And it's like, well, how do you team build anymore? Okay. So you guys are sitting around too much when it's quiet. You guys need to be on your feet 8 hours a day, standing, waiting, staring at the door.
Yeah, yeah. So
What?
yeah,
Like,
it's
they
crazy.
take benches away just because we were sitting too much when there weren't customers around. Like,
Right? Imagine.
fuck that, dude. Fuck
Yeah.
that company. Retail's dying, and it's not because of retail. It's not because of the consumer. It's because of the seller. The vendors
And people don't want to
literally
go
shit
interact
the
with
bed.
them. Yeah, they don't want to
Yeah.
interact with those people anymore when you could just buy it online and interact with
Well,
nobody
and
and
the
get what you
thing
want.
is, like, you don't have quality work environments. You don't have people who want to be there and want to help you anymore. Like, you walk into I don't know, let's say a Hollister, for example. You got two employees and all they're doing is folding clothes, and you go to check out and nobody's there to check you out.
You
It's
gotta
like,
go find them.
yo, hey man, what you doing? Come man the computer, please.
Right.
It's like they don't want to hire people, so I don't want to go there. And then they don't want to pay their employees well, so then their employees don't want to work.
Yeah. It's the issue that we're
So
seeing right
like
now.
retail's like we cut our margins and our clients. It's like, so where do you get your money? That's the fun part. We don't.
We're back to square one. Imagine. But
Uh,
let's
let's let's talk about Tencent for a minute. Talking about big companies doing things in the market. The world's biggest gaming company feels their position is now threatened due to competition and underperformance of their games. So Tencent feels as though their market share is under attack because they're developing shitty games. Who knew that mobile games first are literally the worst idea for gaming? Like, the market is oversaturated, so like you have to have a hit, but the problem is they are all formulaic, so why play these mobile games anymore, you know what I mean? And Tencent's like, well, why aren't you playing our games? We just released 3 gotchas in the last month. Don't you want to buy our gotcha? And it's like, no, I don't need anime waifus when, like, I already have an anime waifu game. Or like it's getting to the point where it's like, why would I want to invest into a game that doesn't want to stick around, doesn't have a player base, has all
right.
these problems against it? And Tencent's like, well, maybe we need to do something about it. So there was a rumor circulating the industry that said that they were going to buy the digital rights to Dungeons and Dragons from Hasbro. So we're going to buy the game publishing rights from Hasbro. That immediately Wizards clapped back instantly and said, sorry, Wizards of Hasbro said that no, this is not true. We're not selling the rights to Dungeons and Dragons to Tencent. This was all false. But the rumors started out that they were going to buy Dungeons and Dragons, not the game rights. They were going to buy Dungeons and Dragons. And Hasbro was like, no, you're
No.
not. Why? Where did this come from? So they corrected it pretty quickly. This rumor, within a
Yeah,
day,
but see, within a
Hasbro
day,
clapped back.
because
Hasbro clapped back.
I posted the initial rumor, and you were like, I don't know if this has much weight, and you're like, here's the article, boom. And the next day, it
No,
was like, yeah, they're not
Hasbro.
happening.
Yeah, how can you sell Dungeons and Dragons but still try to keep I don't know, Magic the Gathering, since those two are now married? Like, they are married worlds.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty
So,
interesting. So I mean, because like Dungeons and Dragons is up on back up on the tick. I mean, it's been around for a very long time, but like we're starting to see like
but
more movies, more games. The
well,
investment.
and it's not just that. It's that Baldur's Gate 3 broke the internet.
Yeah,
Now everyone's like, Dungeons and Dragons is like the biggest, hottest topic. Like, don't get me wrong, the movie kind of flopped, but like Baldur's Gate 3 literally put Dungeons and Dragons in everyone's frontal lobe for
yeah,
months.
yeah,
It was like monkey see monkey see Baldur's Gate 3, monkey go crazy. Like,
yeah.
it was instant response. But let's moving on from Tencent here. Let's talk about one of their game models, which is live services. So live service games are, weirdly enough, on the growth curve, I guess you could say.
Yeah, sure.
Out of 538 studios that were surveyed in the industry, 95% of them are planning or are aiming to release a live service game in the near future. 95%.
Yeah. And I just
Where do they think we come up with the money in our wallets to pay
or
for
the
all these
time.
live service games? Like,
Because how many times we talk about it all the time? Like, how many
yeah.
battle passes can you honestly have at one time and honestly try and complete? One, maybe two. Like, how can there be 1,000 plus fucking live service games and you're like, you can't devote your time to all of these games? It's just not possible.
And the thing is, the live service game model requires that the game be a multiplayer game. You can't have a battle pass without a multiplayer
Right.
game. Otherwise, you end up with, I don't know,
Watchdog.
Watch
I
Dogs.
knew that was coming.
See, see. I mean, I'm gonna make this joke until I die or until I'm done with this podcast. I'm gonna make the joke that like Watch Dogs exist. They have a cash shop for a single player game that they canceled the multiplayer on, and they made sure to build the cash shop before the multiplayer. Like,
Yeah.
moving on though to battle passes, the key of this discussion. Battle passes though are really honestly like you can't have a battle pass without a multiplayer game. But if you have, I don't know, 500 games released in 2 years that are live service, even if you had 1 million players, each one's only going to have a few thousand players at that point. If you had 1 million players for 500 games, that means each of them is only getting a few thousand players. Like,
Yeah, and that's not enough to keep a live service game
that's
going
exactly.
because we're running
There are
into the
multiplayer
economic
games.
reasons behind it is that they can't afford
Mhm.
to keep these live service games going because you need such a high player count. But how do you retain that player count when there's a 5,000 live service games? Like, look at the example with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which we're about to talk about in a little bit. Like, that's a live service game that is not doing well, and Marvel
You
Avengers
mean
did not do
Suicide
well.
Squad Kill Your Guid?
Yeah. Like, there's so
Shit.
many games that are just live service for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, no, it's everyone sees price tag. I said monkey brain sees price tag stimulus, stimulating response. Like it's just monkey brain response from dumbass CEOs who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like the passion left the gaming industry long ago, and the people who have passion don't have voices.
Yeah.
Like Palworld is the perfect example of passion. You
Yeah.
look at what the industry needs. You look at what the industry loves, what games are cult classics, core games, something that makes the industry great. And all you do is change it, market it differently, or add things that other genres have to offer while still retaining that core gameplay mechanic that people love, know, and love, and you're gonna have a great game. That's the thing. Like Palworld is a small studio, small,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's still better than Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, like it's just you gotta take for a moment that like Baldur's Gate 3, it's not a live service game. Look how well it did. It is literally was the #1 game last year. Like it was huge
Yeah.
because it was well designed, well implemented, and it cared about the fan base. Like the thing at the end of the day is when you're making a piece of art, you have to care about the people the art is targeted to. You
Mhm.
can't just be like, we're making this thing. It's not really art. It's just like feces that we put glitter on, and I hope you buy it. And it's like,
Right.
no, like
Like I
we're
mean,
not gonna buy a pile of crap.
just look at the three biggest games last year. Was Baldur's Gate 3, Alan Wake 2, and I would say Hogwarts Legacy because of how many it sold. Like it sold record
Yeah,
breaking numbers. Right, it had the most
yeah.
players concurrently playing. Obviously, until fucking this game comes around. Palworld. Those games had no live service elements to it. Hogwarts Legacy clearly could have had a live service element to it if they wanted to,
Yeah,
but
they
it
could have
didn't.
done the whole like playing Quidditch in the game. But like and not to mention or they could have had dueling, wizard duels and stuff like that. Like honestly, there's so much that could have been done, but like let's talk about the fact that Hogwarts is going to like they're going to be releasing the Harry Potter IP is going to release a Quidditch game next year.
Yeah,
Is it really going to
I'm sure that'll be a
is it going
live
to succeed?
service.
No. It's going to be a live service game and they're going to expect people to want to stay around for more than a day or two to play Quidditch. Like where is the incentive? Like, you have to capture the core of like stimulating content.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your gameplay loop can't be a chore. Call of Duty. You
Hogwarts
have to
Legacy.
reward your players for actually doing things. Looking at you, Battlefront 2. You've got to actually like the thing is, like, it shouldn't take 40 hours to unlock a skin, or you can buy it for $10. Like that. Like,
Yeah,
look
there's
at
obviously.
GoldenEye. If you wanted a new character, you unlocked it. So there's a lot to be said about why live service is a problem, and it's going to continue to destroy the industry until we get like, there can only be so many live service games. And the problem is, like, all these industries and all these studios are banking huge cash rolls into them succeeding, because it only takes one success to make millions. Look
Right.
at how much Call of Duty rakes in each year from their battle pass, their store, all this stuff. They rake it in, my man.
Yeah.
Fortnite, they rake it in. But the problem is, you can't break into this market unless your game has quality.
Yeah. Exactly. Couldn't have said it better. And it's just like I definitely agree with, like, even PlayStation. Like, we're gonna talk about them in a little bit as well too. Is just the fact that they were like, we got 10 live service games in the works, right? They said that last year, and
Why compete against themselves, right?
most recently they were like, we're gonna cut that in half. Now we have 5, and they were like,
Good.
because they're starting to realize that live service isn't a market that is sustainable. One, but like two, like, you realize the market is getting oversaturated and it's going to be too big and it's not going to be worth any money. So then you're going to be in the
Hmm.
negative even more. So good for them that they made that decision, because they need
Yeah,
to get ahead of it.
honestly, I think they're like, Microsoft is one of the few that only bought a live service. I don't think Halo and Call of Duty are their live service games that we really have, and Sea of Thieves.
Right. I
Like,
mean, I guess they have like some games that are like, they're like a different type of live service. Like Forza, both Forza games are technically games as a service because of the constant
yep,
update and changes and new seasons and stuff like
but
that.
it's a fully playable game with a price tag on it.
Right. Or unless you have Game Pass, obviously. Like Game Pass just helps out
Hmm.
tremendously with a lot of these things. So yeah, and basically everything in all of the games are all free for the most part, if I'm not mistaken. Like the battle passes, the content, the updates, like most of that stuff is all free. There's like not really much of the whole FOMO either. Like that's another issue with live services, like the whole a fear of missing out. You're like, oh shit, I gotta buy this or I gotta do this, and then you realize,
Hmm.
fuck, I missed out, and you're like, damn it. Like it's definitely a big issue. All right, man. That is all of our industry news. Let's go ahead and move on to the gaming news because we do got a lot to get to. All right, man. So kicking it off here with the Xbox related news. First off was just a quick update in regards to Visions of Mana. They did appear at the Xbox Developer Direct, which kind of now puts a scratch on my head because it says they have confirmed that this game is not coming to Game Pass, despite the some of the verbiage that was on the website, basically stating it was. But they did come out saying, "Hey, it's not." So it made me wonder, like, why have a third party game show up on your developer direct if it's one not exclusive and then it's not coming to your service? Like, I just thought it was like a wasteful appearance. Like, I guess that they're trying to showcase that,
Agreed.
like, they're trying to amend their relationship with Square Enix, because like there
But
for a
I
while we weren't
I
seeing
think,
games from Square Enix on Xbox, but now we're starting to see that.
yeah. And the thing is, maybe it revolves around the fact that, like, there is no E3 anymore. Yeah, there's summer games, but like, it's getting harder and harder for some of these studios to really display their games out there. And I think also at the same time, Visions of Mana is probably going to want to show up on the PlayStation. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft probably was like, hey, if you want to be on our service, you got to delay your release, or you can't be on PlayStation service.
All right, possibly,
So,
but not necessarily either, because I obviously we're gonna talk about it here in a second. Is about MLB The Show. Like, that's a PlayStation game that's coming to Game Pass
mhm.
day one. So like that's a funny topic. But moving on though, because speaking about Call of Duty, right? Season 2 was just kind of revealed to us the other day on the first, and because it releases here on the 7th for season 2. For multiplayer though, you do get like a ton of content. You get 4 new maps, 6v6 maps, 2 new map variants where they're readjusting like the variants of like Skid Row and like one of the other ones where they're like more like zombified, because the whole idea is like they're doing a crossover like The Walking Dead, so like they want it to look like an apocalyptic kind of setting. So I was like, okay, that's cool, whatever. There's one new war map, 5 new game modes coming, a new perk via vest where it's the ninja vest. So if you want to go quietly, instead of using the boots, now you can use the vest and some other abilities. For zombies, the story act continues. You can enter the second rift. There's new challenges and schematics and new warlords. As for Warzone, the big one here is that Fortune's Keep, which is the resurgent map, is finally returning. Is the first one of the two because we are getting Rebirth Island later on in the year. There's going to be a new public event, extendable bridges, and new additional features, and also ranked resurgence is coming for the first time. But in the end, out of all the update, there are going to be new weapons, new aftermarket parts, the Walking Dead crossover, like I mentioned earlier, new bundles, new events and challenges, and they announced that Warzone Mobile is coming soon. It is right around the corner. It is replacing the whole Call of Duty Mobile that is created by Tencent. Funny enough, they're closing that one down, and Activision Blizzard is opening up theirs. It's Warzone Mobile that also incorporates multiplayer into it as well. So that is on the way. What is the Inhuman you said here? Is season 2 going to be nice, especially with the new map rank going to be? Yeah, hopefully it works out. I mean, Call of Duty needs a refresh, needs a restart because like that the exactly what I said was going to happen with this game is by it releasing with only the old maps, people got tired of playing that game really quickly because they were like, "Oh man, I haven't played this map in 12 years." All right, an hour later, you're like, "All right, I'm tired of these maps. Can we get something new?" Like you want something new to refresh it. Otherwise, it just gets old. And that's what these new seasons are finally doing, especially because they're bringing like 3 or 4 brand new maps that we've never played before. Except this year, I think one of them, or this season, is one of the maps is a remake from a Vanguard map, which is weird because like nobody liked that game either. But I digress on that. Moving on though, from Xbox announced some new hardware here, and this one's really cool because obviously I like to collect the different controllers. I do not have any of the Vapor series ones, but they did announce the new Dream Vapor controller, which is the pink one. But on top of this one here, and I'm bringing it up on screen now. But what's awesome is that they added the Vapor collection to the design lab. So if you want to customize your own version of it, that's pretty badass. And I was like, man, I really like that orange one, that green one, even that grayish green one looks pretty badass. I was like, man, they're doing something different with their hardware, like way better than what PlayStation or even Nintendo's doing with their controllers. Just my opinion. Roger, any takes on their new controller lineup that they announced?
It looks nice. It's honestly really nice, but I think we're getting to the point where we're just getting hardware, just an overabundance of hardware, and I think we need to just look at instead of releasing the controller by itself, just do everything through design labs. You know, you have a few standard controllers, and then you just through design labs, here's the new skin collection we're gonna release.
Yeah. Well, the issue with that is that it's more expensive to do it through design labs as opposed to buying it like a
Hmm.
preset controller.
Yeah.
So they like to present options, which is nice because like even with the whole Elite controller, like you have the Elite controller like 2 core where like it comes with just the controller, but if you want the extra parts that comes with it that you could swap out, you could pay for that extra or get it bundled together now, as
Yeah.
opposed to just being like one real big bulky thing that you would buy for a really expensive price tag. So that was awesome there from Xbox. But Roger, let's go ahead and move on to the highlight of the show. I would say is that from PlayStation for once they did have their state of play this week.
Yeah. So at the state of play, we saw 16 different trailers. So first off, we started with Death Stranding 2 on the beach, the sequel to Death Stranding. Hideo Kojima wasn't done though. He also followed up by announcing that he was working on a new espionage style game, and the Metal Gear fan base didn't waste a second to say that it was Metal Gear Solid and that it was going to be in their fan base because let's be honest, they are quick. Following that, we had a new Japanese style samurai game based in the Meiji era. We have the Rise of Ronin, which is about a samurai in the era of the Meiji era, where the end of the samurai and Western culture begins to invade, not invade, but to influence Japan. We have then Until Dawn, the remastered releasing. We saw Stellar Blade, Dragon's Dogma 2. We also saw a new Sonic game, Sonic X Shadow, the Sonic Cross Shadow Generations, which is going to be a game based a little more on Shadow than on Sonic. But as you know, Shadow is in the Sonic universe. So we'll see some games there. We also saw the Silent Hill short message. We saw Judas, V Rising, Dave the Diver, Zenless Zone Zero. We saw two VR titles, Metro Awakening and Legendary Tales. And then they finished up with the two sort of core games that they're trying to piggyback, I guess, this year, which is Foam Stars and Helldivers 2.
Oh man, where to begin? Do I start to rip apart this show? Like the games didn't premiere in that specific order. I just pulled these from IGN's
Yep.
article. But with the Death Stranding 2, I'm just gonna run through them, just kind of give like a deeper thought onto them. Is that Death Stranding 2, when they came up on stage? This is also when the official title was revealed. That is called Death Stranding 2 on the beach. It looks really fucking good. Like all the cinematics in the trailer that
Mhm.
were going on, like it really looked good and whatnot. It had me excited. I was like, man, am I really missing out on this game? Like I might have to check out the first one. So that might like Hideo Kojima's part of the show was probably the highlight of the show by far, as
Mhm.
Inhuman saying here. Like shout out to him. But it's like with him announcing the new action espionage game, I was like, yeah, that's fucking dope. But it's like, how is he working on all of these games? He has Death Stranding 2 in the works, right? He has that new game OD with Xbox that would in Jordan Peele in the works, and now he has the espionage game. Like, he's only one man. How is he doing
Mhm.
this? And like when are we going to see any of these games? Which one's coming out first? What like I'm very curious to see how this all culminates together. Otherwise, like if he makes this happen, man, like you clearly see why he's such a really revered game developer. Next up, for Rise of Ronin, they just did like a deep dive into this. This game still just it's coming from the same guys who made Will Long, so it shares a lot of similarities into the style of the game. So it didn't really have me like, oh man, this looks great. Just like, meh.
It
Um,
looks like Sekiro in a lot of ways.
yeah, and it got its official release date for March 22nd, so that's right around the corner there. So that's pretty cool. Another downer here, like as soon as like whenever this was announced, I was like, PlayStation is clearly running out of ideas. Until
Mhm.
Dawn is getting a remaster. It's a game that doesn't need to be remastered. The game just came out not that long ago on the PS4. It's being remastered again for the PS5 and the PC this year, and it's obviously it's being remade in like the Unreal Engine 5. So I was like, why are we getting remaster after remaster after remaster? But like,
It's not like this was this wasn't like Uncharted. This wasn't, it wasn't like any of Naughty Dog's games really. Like
this
why
wasn't
is
one of
it
their big games
it
at all.
yeah, like what
And
I'm getting at is just the fact that it's such a small game in the catalog. It feels like it's not one of those games that you ever think about.
and
Like
it was made originally by Supermassive Games,
that's what I mean. But
who released the Quarry and then obviously
yeah,
the Dark Pictures anthology series. Like,
but like what I'm getting at though is it's not like a PlayStation flagship like Naughty Dog games are. That's what I meant when I said
right?
Naughty
Well, they
Dog. It's
think it
like
is. That's the
they
thing.
think it is maybe, but that's the thing. Like I don't even think about Until Dawn when I think about like PlayStation games that were good. Like I just don't get me wrong, I didn't get to play it, but at the same time, like it wasn't like I don't know Uncharted where when I thought about it getting a PlayStation, Uncharted was the first thing to hit my mind.
Yeah, between that or The Last of Us, like clearly, in
Yeah,
both
or
Naughty Dog games.
like, but why don't we even talk about Little Big Planet? Like, that's their game when I think about something.
Yeah,
Where's the next Little Big Planet?
yeah. So looking at sales, like Until Dawn sold 1.38 million units as of January 2nd, 2016. Don't know where the numbers are at now, but at that point they deemed it a financial success, surpassing the developers' expectations. Those expectations must have been really low for it to be exceeding expectations. But yeah,
But this is also a studio that was doing these smaller titles,
yeah,
like I mentioned. We're talking about Little Nightmares and stuff. It's not like a box office hit.
yeah. Next up here on the list was Stellar Blade. This was just another deep dive, but we also got the official release date for April 26, 2024. Just man, I was like, I was watching the show live, and I was telling Lauren, I was like, by the end, I was like, I think I saw two games that had me all excited. All the other ones kind of looked
Hmm.
very similar. Like there was a ton of like JRPG style games and like the anime looking games. Like I cannot get into it to save my life. I was like, They all look the same. There's nothing making them look any different. Like I cannot get past that to me. So I was like, that's exactly what Stellar Blade just looked like. I was like, oh, there's another JRPG anime looking game. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Next. But a highlight of the show, Dragon's Dogma 2. I never played the original game. Heard it was really good, but all of the trailers and the gameplay that I keep seeing from this game, I'm like, yo, this shit looks badass.
Mm-hmm.
This shit looks like it's gonna be fun. And even Inhuman here is dropping in the chat saying it looks amazing. I agree. Like this is an exciting game, but it's not a PlayStation exclusive. It's coming to all platforms, which is awesome to see. And it is coming out next month on March 22nd. Then we got the interesting one because this one kind of like was rumored and leaked throughout the week leading up to the show, and it was interesting to see it on PlayStation's stage. But it was the Sonic X Shadow Generations. This is just a remaster of Sonic Generations from back in the day from 2011, but they're adding like new levels where you play as Shadow in these ones. This one is coming to the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, SNX, Nintendo Switch, and PC this fall. So that looks pretty cool. Just don't know why it was there at the PlayStation show. That seemed a little weird. Next up here, though, this was actually a shadow drop for PlayStation. Silent Hill: The Short Message. It did drop later on that day, and it's actually not doing that well. It's actually probably one of the worst reviewed games of the year already, and it's not looking good. And I was like, man, that's bad. Like, we're really looking forward to like the revival of the Silent Hill like games, and we're already off to a bad start. And then like we seen some more gameplay from Silent Hill 2, and that game looked pretty rough for being a remake. And I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
we're not getting anything good right now, guys. Like, what is going on? And then
I
Judas though.
think the
Oh, go ahead.
the thing though with Silent Hill: A Short Message is the fact that it's just a small little thing. The fans have been waiting for years and years and years, and we just get this little bit here, and it's just I think that's where it's just poorly performing. It
Yeah,
there's just a lot to be desired, especially because it's a free game.
yeah. And it has a 51 on Metacritic, and the average user out of 10
Hmm.
is a 6.4. So it's not doing good at all. And it's just sad. Like I said to see, like I'm not preying on the downfall of PlayStation, but it's like, when is PlayStation just going to get their act together? It just seems like
Hmm.
one bad thing just after another, and they're just not doing
Yeah.
anything. And they like the thing is they kind of acknowledge that, like they were like, our pillars that we have in place right now are outdated, are going to get passed and trumped very quickly and very soon. Like they already know that, so like they need to
Hmm.
start taking those steps to fix it and grow and progress. Another game here that excited me was Judas. We got a brand new trailer behind us because this is coming from the developers. One of the main developers, Ken Levine. He was the creator of BioShock. Again, I've never played any of
This
the
is I
BioShock
was
games.
literally gonna say when I saw this trailer, I was like, "You mean BioShock,
Yeah,
the PlayStation game?"
yeah, you could clearly see that this is a BioShock game, but it's coming to all platforms. Like it's not another PlayStation exclusive in any way, shape, or form. I'm looking forward to this game coming out. It looks really good, and yeah, man, first person combat in a dystopian world, and it's like really colorful. I love the art style. I'm in for this one. Then we got V Rising coming to the PS5 in 2024, and it's the fantasy survival game originally launched in early access and PC back in 2022. So again, not a new
Yeah.
game, not a game that looks exciting. It's an isometric action game with some like Diablo vibes, is what IGN's describing it as, and it's a fantasy survival game. Not
Yeah.
piquing my interest in any way. And I'm sure to have you checked this game out on PC in early access at all?
No, I just looked at it. I've seen it. It's okay.
Yeah. See, and we're
I mean,
continuing on.
it doesn't have anything special.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like nothing in this show seemed very special at all. Shout out though to let's put quotes, guys. Indie game Dave the Diver, is finally coming to the PlayStation. Originally on the PC and the Xbox before then, but it is coming to PlayStation in April, and it's actually going to be on it's coming over like with a crossover with Godzilla. Pretty interesting there. So that's pretty cool to see. Then we got an update for Zenless Zone Zero that's in development for the PS5. Not much to go on. It's another Hoyoverse newest game, and I'm just like, hey, another
Mhm.
JRPG anime game. Not piquing my interest in any way.
But the
Um,
thing is, like, it may not be piquing your interest, but this is like money, dude. This is where the money is lately, is the Hoyoverse.
I
Like,
guess.
this shit just make it is printing money,
Yeah, I have to
which
look
is
into it a little bit more because I know nothing about the Hoyoverse.
yeah.
But
So like, it's just Hoyo. You have Genshin, you have Honkai Star Rail,
oh
and
yeah,
now
all
you
those
have
games are
this,
it's like, eh.
and like they print money, dude.
And I
They're
don't get it. Why?
because you're not in that fandom.
Not at
It's
all.
like asking a weeb like, dude, why do people care about sports? And they're just like, I don't know. Like, I
Yeah, I
don't
guess.
fucking care.
I guess. Fair. Um, Interesting though to see that with I don't like. I feel like they're not really pushing the PSVR 2 in any way, shape, or form. Like they released the new hardware. It was shitty. It released with like 20 games, and now they're like, maybe we have some games coming out for it. The only one that kind
But
of
like,
interests me
it's
was Metro
so
Awakening
bad.
because
Like
the Metro series is fun. Like it's a cool idea, and like to see it in the VR, I was like, oh, okay, that looks just like the game I played back in like 2010 or whatever, just in the VR now.
yeah, and honestly, don't get me wrong, having a VR headset is awesome, but like to have to and it's coming to Steam, dude. Like I'm just gonna why play it on fucking PlayStation VR if I can just go play it on Steam? I can literally play it on my VR headset that's like 7 years old now, 6 years old now. It plays just as well because guess what? Fun fact, it's all rendered on my computer and just into my screen.
Yeah.
Like, why pay this an absurd amount of money, a second PS5 worth of money?
Right, but you remember you have to buy the PS5 as well.
Yeah. Not to
Yeah,
mention, I could have just gotten a PC for the same price and then saved up for a VR headset later.
right. The other title was Legendary Tales. Looks pretty shitty, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And then yeah, the last two were just trailers for Foam Stars and Helldivers 2, which we already gave, I think, enough attention to earlier in the show.
Mhm.
But yeah,
So let's talk
overall,
about
that was a
news.
really shitty state of play.
Yeah,
That was
well,
just my
let's keep the
opinion.
shit train rolling here. Spider-Man 2 is getting a free trial. If you would like to play the demo for Spider-Man 2, great, you can. If you have premium in your tier subscription, only the premium tier subscribers for PSN Plus can get the actual free trial for this. Not the game, not the full game like Game Pass does with their stuff. A trial,
2 hour trial.
2 hour trial. But
Hey,
that being said, thanks for the subscribe. 14 months.
14
You're on a 12-month streak. Thanks.
Let's go.
But let's talk about games here. MLB The Show 24. You talked a little bit about, you mentioned it earlier. You said it in passing. The game is coming to Xbox Game Pass day one,
Yeah, I
and
gotta
it's
play the
not
trailer.
coming to PlayStation Plus.
I gotta play the trailer because the first 2 seconds of the trailer has me dying still. Gotta play it for you guys. Xbox, PlayStation. Like that shit will forever have me rolling. Like it's a PlayStation game being done by a PlayStation studio, and it starts off with the Xbox because this trailer came from the Xbox's YouTube, so I get it. But it still cracks me up. But I see like that's the world that we're heading in. Like
But
some of
like,
the
how much
rumors.
money do you think they got paid by Microsoft to have it on Game Pass day one instead of PS Plus?
I To be honest, I don't know
Because to
because
me,
the
is
only
it
reason
getting to
this
the point where they just don't do their own service and they're like, here, Microsoft, we'll make a game. You can buy it from us and put it on there day one.
maybe, but the thing is with the MLB the
Yeah.
show, it had nothing to do with PlayStation. PlayStation didn't want to
Hmm.
put this on Xbox. MLB said, "Hey, you either put this on Xbox too, or you're not going to have our license anymore."
Yeah.
It was just that simple.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's so
But yeah,
silly.
it's another head scratcher. Like, what is this, like year 4 or 5 now that it came to Xbox and it came to Game Pass day one, and it's still
Hmm.
not coming to PlayStation Plus.
Yeah. Well, let's at least talk about something really cool here. The free games for PS Plus. To actually, like, this is where PlayStation is starting to succeed. Let's see this. Foam Stars day one coming to PS Plus.
First
You
time.
can get it first time. A PlayStation game is coming to their catalog, but you can only get it in February for free. So download it, or you have to buy it later.
Yeah.
So like get on the hype train now,
Well,
even if it's a garbage show.
you have PS Plus, right? You might as well just turn on that PS5 that never gets turned on. Just download that bitch just for later.
I'll open up the fucking app, dude.
Yeah,
Do
there
you
you
one
go.
better?
Even better.
But following that, we have Steel Rising and a Roller Drome coming to the PS Plus games.
Yeah, I mean the highlight got to be Foam Stars, I guess. But I mean,
Yeah.
I heard some good things about Roller Drone, but Still Rising, I don't know much about, so I can't really give its kudos on that.
Steel Rising is a shitty version of Lies of P. It's literally just it's the same thing as Lies of P. Like the setting is similar, the
Oh yeah, I see.
concept, the
Yeah,
gameplay loop. It just looks worse, and it has a worse rating. It is just a Souls-like game, but not as good.
yeah.
So, next up, Vic, tell me about Suicide Squad Kill Your Frames.
Yeah, man. So we're just continuing on this like train of like bad news after bad news after bad news, and let's just keep going. We're gonna keep chugging along here. Um, dude, the servers were taking offline during the early access period because as soon as you booted the game up, it would like auto complete the campaign. And you everything would get unlocked, all your achievements, all your trophies, whatever it was, would automatically just be fucking done. And I was just like, how is a game that broken, bro? Like, what the fuck
Right?
happened? And they were like,
Dude literally is just like, oh, we were demoing the fact that the game, what happens after you beat the campaign. We just forgot to take that patch offline. What
yeah,
the fuck,
I
dude?
guess
Like,
like what the fuck,
clearly must have been something stupid.
right? And it was just like, and this happened to people who bought the deluxe edition so they could play the game 2 days early, 4 days early, whatever the time period was, and they were like,
Yeah.
now I can't even play the game early. I just spent this extra money to do nothing. So what did they do? They gave you $20 of in-game currency for the fuck up. And I was like, okay. I mean, I guess if it's a live service game, that'll matter. But it's just like I paid extra to play the game early, but now I'm going to be playing the game at the same time as everybody else. So yeah, sad news there. But in the end, I heard this game is actually not as bad as what the previews were making it seem. It's just like
Yeah.
when you get to the end of the game and then it becomes that games as a service. That's when the game is like there's nothing there to play after.
Yet.
Yeah, so it's like it's very bare bones, and I heard the story was pretty like fucked up in a way too. Like it was really written really bad, just like Gotham Knights was written really bad, and it kind of continues the play on here.
Honestly, it's anything that isn't a DC comic, and even then, DC comics are written bad.
Right, like I
Don't
would
get me
love
wrong.
the DC shit to
Marvel
succeed.
comics can be just as garbage. Like Spider-Man may take 12 issues to get through literally one storyline, and it doesn't even make sense by the end of it. But at least Marvel movies and TV shows are good.
Yeah,
But let's not talk about their live service game for a minute here.
not at all. But yeah,
Let's
so
avoid the easy rag.
but yeah, so
Let's
in
talk
the end,
about
Suicide
something that
Squad
is
is a game that I'm probably going to pick up when it's on sale. Like that, I want to play
yeah.
this game because it looked like the gameplay loop looks
Mhm.
fun and appealing in ways, and I'm curious to see like why I know why the Justice League turned bad because of Brainiac, but it's just like I'm curious to see how those characters play out, and I want to hear Kevin Conroy, his voice with Batman again. That'd be awesome.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, if you want to go ahead and move on to our second to last topic here.
And the main topic,
Yeah,
really,
pretty much.
Palworld. So, Pocket Pair has confirmed that there is a mobile version that is fake, and it's warning players not to actually try to play the game because it is not Palworld. It is a fake game made by a studio trying to siphon their hits, and they don't know. It's probably just a malware game.
Yeah,
But the
interesting
total
enough,
number of players.
Just to
Go ahead.
just to comment on that real quick. I actually, when that article broke, I was like, "Is this for real?" And I went on the App Store, Apple's App Store, and searched Palworld, and it was on there, and it was like the same icon as my Xbox. Everything was a 1-to-1. Like it was the exact same game, but it was just ported to the mobile device. I just searched now, it is gone. Apple said no.
Yeah. Yeah. So like it was fake, and it was probably malware stuff, and it just goes to show that the mobile verse is moving just as quickly as like computer games are. It's not as I don't know, pruned and maintained as the console world is. But talking about Palworld, how many players we got? We have 12 million copies alone sold on Steam. 12 million. And then we have an additional 7 million players that come from Xbox, totaling 19 million players in the first 2 weeks.
That's insane for a game that had like a very small budget with a very small development team.
Not to mention the fact that we were all sitting here, we saw it get launched, the trailer hit, and we were like, the fuck is
Right?
this?
This game
The
isn't
fuck
gonna
is
do
that?
great. It's
What
Pokemon
the
with
fuck
guns.
are they doing? Pokemon's gonna rip them an asshole, and Nintendo's over here like, fuck, how do we do it? And
Yeah.
they're like, you can't.
Right. Remember we talked
Legally
about it last.
distinct Pikachu wins again.
Right. Remember last week's episode? Here's the line. Let's get as close as we can
Get
to it.
right up to it, bud. But
Because
Xbox
someone
is helping.
actually commented on it.
Yeah.
I seen it on Twitter earlier today. They were like, you know what Palworld is? It's 40% Pokemon, it's 40% Ark Survival, and it's 20% Breath of the Wild. And I was like, okay, yeah, I see
Yeah,
it
it really
makes
is.
sense.
It's so well done too. Like it literally, and it's what I said earlier in the show. It's all about making a game for your fans. Your fans know what they want. If you can just make a game for them, you've got it. You've sold. Look how few people put together this game. Like
Inexperienced people
it's
too.
a no-brainer.
Like the person who designed like a lot of the creatures was picked up from a fucking gas station that has no background of game development. Like it's mind blowing.
Yeah. So let's talk about Pocket Pair and how their studio's getting support from Microsoft. Xbox is helping to fix and improve the game to help provide support for the console version of their game. And they're also working to help them enable dedicated servers. They're offering engineering resources to help with GPU and memory optimization, as well as speeding up the process to make updates available to Xbox players sooner than they are now.
Right. Because obviously, I told you I'm playing this on Game Pass on my Xbox, and like looking into it, it's like the Xbox version is like a few versions behind than the
Yes.
Steam build right now, and like you kind of clearly see it in some instances. Like I watch other people play it as well, and I was just like, yeah, you're clearly missing some things, and the game runs and way better on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
But also to see though, Microsoft is like clearly hopping in, and everyone's like, since all of this news broke, they were like, is this Xbox's next acquisition? Like, I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, it could. You imagine throwing that check at that guy who started basically from nothing. Was like, fuck yeah. I didn't even think this was even going to make it this far.
Yeah, dude. Like, let's be honest here. Palworld is just the next Microsoft, right? Or the next Minecraft right now. It's
It could be, yes, very much so.
honestly, with the way the internet is now, it's a lot quicker for things to go viral than they once were. But like, it goes to show, you just make a good game that has an addictive loop that isn't an oppressive loop. People want to play, and
Can you imagine if it gets the Minecraft treatment? Like it adds like a marketplace with like different crossover like mods that you could add to the game. Like
That would be so goofy.
like
I think it would be too much. I think it would ruin the game, honestly. I think we just need to continue to see the adoption of like the ability to maybe even we get to the point where the world is randomly generated and things like that. That would be cool. Like you could build your own seeds and things like that. But or even if we don't get that, we just get the continual improvement, new areas, new zones, new pals,
right.
next, in 6 months they release a new Winter Wonderland with like 30 new winter based pals, and then they new places to get old pals and stuff like that. That would be cool. But let's talk about the modding community again, because they're at it again. After we got legally distinct Pokemon, we now got Digimon, literal Digimon, not legally distinct. No, we got the actual Digimon being imported into Palworld now. And it looks like Bandai Namco has nothing to say yet, which is funny to me.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, this shit's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like people have like they waste no time.
Dude, I told you the modders fix Starfield before Starfield fixed Starfield.
Right.
All you have to do is look at the people out in the marketplace. Like within a day, people were like, "Here's all the settings you need to select so that you get the optimized performance on Palworld because their optimization for higher settings or lower settings are bad. And you're like, wow, like there are people out there that are just like, how do I make this game better for free? And it's like, it's always there. It just takes 5 minutes and you're like, wow, like,
Well,
uh,
you know, like those jobs that you're always looking for, and it's like entry level job, but you need to have 5 years of experience. Well, this is how you get 5 years of experience. You fucking do that
yeah.
shit for free on your own time, and that's how you get your 5 years of experience. And now they're gonna hire your ass. They're like, you did a fantastic with that job, that mod that you made, even though it was illegal and not right. We're gonna hire you now.
You're not allowed to use Digimon, but make us some new ones.
Right. So that
All
was
right,
great
Vic.
there.
Let's round out the show here.
Yeah, man. Just interesting news because like we thought the whole like Guitar Hero Rocket Band, Jesus, Rock Band
Rocket Man.
was over and done with, but with the revival of that game genre, thanks to Fortnite Festival, which I played by the way on my Switch. Basically Guitar Hero Rock Band, you just play with the fucking buttons. But PDP has announced that they've debuted their first look at the Riffmaster guitar controller, which is coming out for Rock Band 4 in the Fortnite Festival. And it fucking collapses, dude. Like, that's everything we wanted before. Like, what the fuck? So let me see if I can get it up here on screen with their the debut of it. So we got the PDP. I should have had this in the
The
in the
link so
notes.
that you
Yeah.
can find it real quick.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's okay. I'm professional as always.
Yeah. We'll just use this one. This
Yeah,
one's not the
yeah,
greatest
yeah.
example, but I mean it looks basically the same thing since back in the day. But it literally just snaps where like the head of the guitar meets the body of it, and it just snaps in half right there. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty dope. And they made an Xbox version and a PlayStation version, and then obviously both of those would run on a PC, given the technologies that both of those controllers already use. So works
Hmm.
on that, and that's awesome to see. And I don't know if you like, obviously probably not, you've never played it, but Fortnite Festival is actually really fun, and like
Hmm.
the ability that they can have to basically add any song, because they're going to they have money that they'll pay the rights to whatever song they need to be able to add to that catalog, and it runs really smooth. And it's awesome because like when you're performing with your band, and like because you know how like in Rock Band you play it as like the guitar, the bass, the drums, and the sing, and like sometimes you weren't playing while some other instruments were playing, like during a solo. Your character that you choose, like you can have Master Chief up on stage or whatever, and you can start emoting while you're on stage, like doing different dances and emotes. And I was like,
Hmm.
bro, like this is just genius. It's genius. It's just another way of using your skins in your emotes. You're like, I'm showing off to the world because people can watch you while you're playing. Like people can just join and watch you perform these songs.
Hmm.
And I was just like, fucking Fortnite, dude. Fucking Fortnite.
Fortnite honestly is the metaverse. Like on a Meta has literally fucked themselves so hard with this. It's so bad.
I would say it's closer to the Ready Player One verse than the
Yeah,
metaverse
like
back then.
honestly, it's what they want the metaverse to be, really. But with with they want the metaverse to be a fully immersive experience where you can build and design and do whatever you want, your own thing. Fortnite's that. And honestly, if Fortnite keeps going, what is the metaverse but
Right.
Fortnite?
Fortnite verse. Which interesting enough that we talk about this whole metaverse thing just real quick because we have a little bit of time to talk. The Apple Vision Pro just released the other day finally, the $3,500
Yes.
AR VR headset, and
Yeah.
people are taking that fucking headset to the next level. Did you see the guy who was driving his car while wearing the
Yes.
headset? He eventually got pulled over for it,
Yes.
but like this is the world that
Yes.
we're going towards. Like he is living in the future, like that kind of person. And then I seen somebody was at the gym wearing the headset, working out while he's on the bike or doing whatever. He's just like watching a movie or doing whatever he's doing, like with his headset. I was like, this shit's crazy.
That's a way to make a really disgusting pro headset right there.
Yeah, really
My man
crazy.
pulls it off and he's like, "What smells like a wet dog?" I don't know. Yo sloppy ass.
Right. So yeah, that was definitely great. I'm curious to see the implementation with games because you could play games like you could hook up a PlayStation,
Hmm.
um, excuse me, and an Xbox controller to it. Like you could play certain games, but I'm just seeing like, is it going to be like less of the 2D screen or is it going to be like more 3 dimensional? Like what can they actually add to the gaming industry? So this is the first iteration of it, and only time will tell with that one there. But without, man, any other final thoughts on the gaming industry this week from you?
No, not at all. But it was definitely an interesting week. It's a slow week, so we need these. We need these
Yeah.
weeks to recoup because like there's so much shit going on with the gaming industry. I have so many things to catch up on, and not to mention being a new dad. Us being new dads, there's just so little time some days.
That is the fucking truth. It's like I just want
And
to come
then when
home
we
from
were
work
like,
and play
oh,
the
we
game.
need some time.
Yeah.
We need some time off. They're like, here's Palworld. And we're
Yeah,
like, fuck my schedule, I
fuck
guess.
me,
Fuck
and
it.
all these other games that I'm trying to beat.
Fuck my schedule.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. But yeah, man, we want to thank everyone who did check us out live today here on Twitch, and anyone who does check us out later on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But Roger, where can the community find you at?
Hey, if you want to talk, chat, or hang out, I'm always on Discord. That's where I'm at anymore.
And everyone, you can check me out at Twitter at Mr. Never Chillin _ Threads is at Mr. Never Chillin. X is X Never Space Chillin. Facebook is Vic Brubacher for any question, concern, or even if you want to come on the show, hit me up there. And I do stream over on my Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Never Chillin, where I'm currently playing Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, and I might pick up a smaller game here soon. I'm trying to decide on what indie game I want to play next, so I'll be on the lookout for that. But we want to thank everyone again, and until next week, peace.
Press start podcast.